Every civilization believed it was the center. What if they were all right and all wrong? For most of human history, we drew the cosmos around ourselves like a map of meaning. The heavens revolved around our fragile world, and we, in turn, revolved around the certainty that existence had a center, that somewhere, amid the endless stars, there was an origin that could anchor everything. Even as our maps changed and our telescopes sharpened, that instinct never left us. We still look outward and secretly wonder, where is the middle of it all? But the universe has no preference. From any point you stand, the stars drift away in every direction, like ripples spreading across an infinite pond. The galaxies recede not from a single explosion in space, but from the stretching of space itself. Every world watches all others drift away, and each feels like the center of a cosmic bloom. The illusion is perfect, because it is shared by everyone, everywhere. If you were to ask the same question from a distant galaxy, are we at the center? The answer would echo back the same way. Yes and no. It's a humbling symmetry. There is no privileged vantage point, no cosmic throne around which creation spins. We are not at the middle of the universe. We are at the middle of its unfolding. The expansion does not push us outward from a point. It draws us along a tide that has no shore. Somewhere between the mystery of motion and the stillness of perception, we begin to realize the center is not a location. It's a perspective, one that the universe offers to everyone and promises to no one. And the truth waiting ahead will redefine what place even means. No matter where you stand, the universe expands from you. That statement sounds absurd, like a paradox wrapped in arrogance. Yet it's true. The deeper we've looked into the cosmos, the more the universe has whispered this quiet contradiction back to us. Every telescope, every direction, every beam of light tells the same story. Galaxies rushing away, space itself stretching, and each observer standing at the calm center of their own cosmic storm. To understand why, you must let go of everything you think the word center means. For thousands of years, humanity imagined edges. We built mental walls around the unknown, from the dome of the heavens to the crystalline spheres of the ancients. The Greeks pictured the cosmos as concentric shells, each carrying stars or planets like jewels in motion, all circling Earth's proud stillness. The medieval world inherited that picture and perfected it with divine symmetry. We were not just the physical center, but the moral one too. Everything beyond was designed for us. The lights in the sky, the grand orbits of heaven, the geometry of perfection. Then came the heretics of motion. Copernicus quietly shifted the throne from Earth to the sun, and suddenly the heavens began to move differently. But even the sun's reign was short-lived. Galileo's lens revealed countless stars, suns of their own, each perhaps with planets and moons and motion. The cosmos was dethroned of its hierarchy, and yet, deep down, we still held on to the hope that there was somewhere, some fixed center from which it all began. That illusion persisted, even as we entered the 20th century. When Edwin Hubble peered through the 100-inch Hooker telescope atop Mount Wilson in 1929, he saw galaxies, island universes, as they were then called, drifting away from us. Their light stretched redder, a cosmic Doppler effect revealing motion. The farther away they were, the faster they fled. It was as if the entire universe was exploding outward from our position. The temptation was irresistible. Maybe we were the center of creation after all. But that was the trick of perspective. What Hubble discovered wasn't galaxies racing through space, but space itself expanding. Like raisins in rising bread dough, every galaxy moves away from every other as the dough inflates. Not because any one raisin explodes outward, but because the dough itself swells between them. There is no favored raisin, no true middle of the loaf. The expansion is uniform, indifferent, absolute. The Big Bang, too, is often misunderstood as an explosion, something that happened in space, bursting outward from a singular point into emptiness. In truth, it was an expansion of space, not through space. The universe didn't erupt into a void. The void was created as it expanded. Every point in the cosmos traces its origin back to that singular moment, not to a single location, but to a single state. A dense, hot, smooth universe that began expanding everywhere at once. Imagine standing on the surface of a balloon covered in tiny dots. As the balloon inflates, each dot moves away from all the others. None can claim the center. The center is inside the balloon, a dimension none of the dots can ever access. To them, expansion is everywhere and nowhere, equally real from every point of view. That is our universe. A balloon in 4 dimensions, where the center lies outside the very space we inhabit. This revelation shattered more than ancient cosmology. It shattered our intuition. The very fabric of the cosmos is not static, but elastic. Distances grow not because galaxies speed through space, but because the metric that defines distance itself is changing. Einstein's general relativity gave us the language for this. Space-time is a dynamic stage, bending, stretching, and curving with the presence of matter and energy. And as that fabric stretches, it carries the galaxies with it, like driftwood on a cosmic tide. This idea, the metric expansion of space, means that light itself, the messenger of the cosmos, is affected. As space stretches, so does the wavelength of every photon traveling through it. What begins as brilliant blue starlight becomes the faint red whisper of a receding galaxy, and then, beyond sight, the long echo of microwave radiation. The further back we look, the younger and denser the universe becomes, until the light itself reaches a wall. The cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of creation. But even this beginning deceives us. The Big Bang didn't happen at a point in space or from a single location. It happened to space itself, everywhere at once. Every region we can see, and every region we can't, was part of that same unfolding. So when we look out across billions of light years, we aren't peering toward a distant explosion, but backward in time. The light that reaches us from galaxies 10 billion light-years away began its journey when the universe was a fraction of its current age. The further we look, the younger everything appears, until vision itself becomes memory. And yet, here's the paradox. Because light travels at a finite speed, the universe we see is bounded by what light has had time to reach us. This forms our observable universe, a sphere roughly 93 billion light-years across, centered perfectly on us. But that's not arrogance. Every observer, anywhere in the cosmos, would see themselves at the center of their own observable sphere. Each galaxy, each planet, each atom, surrounded by its own horizon of light. The cosmic principle of humility. Everyone is the center, and therefore no one is. This is enshrined in what cosmologists call the cosmological principle. that on large scales, the universe is homogeneous and isotropic, roughly the same in every direction and at every place. There are no special regions, no cosmic poles or privileged planes. When you zoom far enough out, the universe looks like a vast, foamy web. Galaxies strung along filaments of dark matter, clusters and voids forming a pattern without preference. It is as if the universe has erased its own boundaries to ensure fairness in perspective. And yet, fairness does not mean simplicity. The more we measure, the more subtle the expansion becomes. Dark energy, the mysterious pressure driving the universe's acceleration, ensures that not only is space expanding, but the rate of expansion itself is increasing. Every second, the cosmic fabric grows faster, stretching galaxies away until one day their light will fade beyond reach. The night sky, billions of years from now, will grow dark again, not from lack of stars, but from distance made infinite. When cosmologists map this expansion, they find no fixed anchor, no absolute stillness to measure against. Even the cosmic microwave background, that last remnant of the early universe, shows only tiny ripples, fluctuations of temperature a few parts in 100,000. These are not signs of a center, but of texture. The faint fingerprints of quantum fluctuations magnified by inflation. In those subtle variations lie the seeds of every galaxy, every world, every story. If you were to float among those early fluctuations, before stars or galaxies, you would find no up or down, no inside or outside, just a uniform sea of light and potential. And yet, from that featureless expanse, complexity would arise. Tiny overdensities would gather matter, gravity would sculpt structure, and time would carve meaning into chaos. It's as though the universe began without edges so that it could build boundaries later. Boundaries not of space, but of experience. There's an almost spiritual symmetry to this. We live inside a universe that refuses to privilege any one location. Every observer's map of the cosmos is true in its own frame. Perspective becomes reality. Relativity becomes the new center. The very act of observing defines the geometry around you. Einstein once said that space and time are not conditions in which we live. They are modes by which we think. Perhaps the universe has been teaching us that lesson all along. The idea of a universe without edges is more than a physical truth. It's a philosophical revolution. It erases the last refuge of cosmic ego. There is no throne to ascend, no border to conquer, no final frontier to cross. The frontier is everywhere, unfolding equally in every direction. And we, like every civilization before us, are simply trying to draw meaning in its expanding sand. When we gaze into deep space, we are not looking outward. We are looking backward, seeing the past as light travels toward us from galaxies long gone. The galaxies we see are not where they appear. They are ghosts, drifting farther with every second. The map of the cosmos is not a snapshot, but a memory. A story being told to us at the speed of light. The farther we look, the older the tale becomes, until we approach the beginning itself, the moment before the first light broke through darkness. And yet, even at that beginning, there was no edge, no outside. The Big Bang did not expand into space. It created space. There was no beyond, no void waiting to be filled. The cosmos is self-contained, without walls, without borders. To ask where it expands from is like asking what lies north of the North Pole, a question that collapses under its own assumptions. Still, we crave boundaries. The human mind seeks edges as proof of meaning. Without them, we feel lost, adrift in infinity. But perhaps meaning itself is the illusion of edges drawn by perception. If every galaxy is its own center, then maybe consciousness, too, follows the same rule. Each mind, a universe observing itself from within. Each perception, a point of expansion. When you stand beneath the night sky, you might feel small, but the truth is stranger. The entire observable universe is centered on you, not because you are special, but because that is how the laws of physics arrange themselves. Every eye that looks into the dark becomes a new origin point. Every observer redraws the cosmos around themselves. The map shifts endlessly to accommodate awareness, so we return to that impossible statement. No matter where you stand, the universe expands from you. It is not an illusion in the trivial sense. It is the natural outcome of an unbounded cosmos. The universe has no edges, no walls, and therefore no center. It expands not outward, but inward and everywhere. And yet, within that vast impartiality, something profound hides in plain sight. If every point can be seen as the center, then maybe the question of where we are is less important than that we are. Maybe being alive, conscious, and curious in such a place is the truest form of centrality the universe allows. In the end, perhaps the only real center is the one that looks back, the one that wonders. The edge we see isn't the edge that exists. That single sentence contains the strangest truth of modern cosmology, that our universe appears to end not because it does, but because light has simply run out of time to reach us. The cosmos is not bound by walls, yet we see one. The universe is not finite, yet we live inside a sphere. That sphere, the observable universe, is the limit of what we can ever know through light. A cosmic horizon drawn not by matter or energy, but by time itself. Every time you look up at the night sky, you're not seeing the universe as it is, but as it was. Each photon that enters your eye began its journey billions of years ago, crossing gulfs so vast that they stretch human language beyond recognition. Light from the moon takes just over a second to arrive. From the sun, 8 minutes. From the nearest star, 4 years. From the Andromeda galaxy, 2.5 million years. And from the farthest galaxies our telescopes can see, over 13 billion years. The deeper we look, the further back in time we travel. The universe becomes a time machine made of light. Yet here lies the first illusion. We often imagine that because the universe is 13.8 billion years old, the farthest thing we can see should also be 13.8 billion light-years away. But that's not true. The universe has been expanding the entire time that light was traveling toward us. Those distant galaxies we now see as they were 13 billion years ago are not sitting 13 billion light-years away. They are now over 46 billion light-years distant. The expansion of space has carried them far beyond what the photons could ever reveal. The universe grew faster than its own light could keep up. Our observable universe, then, is a kind of bubble, a sphere centered on the observer, 46 billion light-years in radius. Not because that's where the universe ends, but because that's how far light has had time to travel since the beginning. Beyond that horizon, more universe exists, perhaps infinitely more. But it lies forever outside our reach. We will never see it, never measure it, never even know its shape. What we call the universe is only the region we can observe. a small pocket of the whole cosmic ocean. If you could step outside that bubble, you'd see countless others, not separate universes, but overlapping horizons centered on every point in space. Each observer, wherever they stand, draws their own bubble of visibility around themselves. Each is perfectly centered. Each sees the universe expanding away in all directions. The cosmos ensures fairness through limitation. You can only see what light allows, and light moves the same for everyone. That's relativity's quiet miracle and its quiet trap. The second illusion emerges here. Because light defines what we can see, it also defines what we can imagine. Our sense of the universe is built entirely from the light that reaches us, as though the cosmos were a grand projection painted on the inside of a sphere. Every image, every measurement, every theory is bound by that horizon. It's not that we see the whole, we see the skin of the knowable. Everything beyond is speculation, veiled behind the finite speed of light. Einstein's relativity made this boundary absolute. Nothing, not even information, can travel faster than light in a vacuum. That rule doesn't merely constrain motion, it shapes reality. It means that no signal, no message, no awareness can reach us from beyond 46 billion light-years. Those regions exist in principle, but they are causally disconnected. In the language of physics, they are beyond our light cone, forever separate slices of existence. This introduces another strange effect. Because light takes time to travel, the farther away something is, the younger it appears. When you look at a distant galaxy, you're seeing it not as it is now, but as it was when the light left it, perhaps billions of years before Earth even formed. The cosmic web around us isn't a snapshot. It's a layered fossil record, every shell of distance corresponding to an earlier era of the universe. When we gaze outward, we are literally peeling back the layers of time itself. At the outermost edge of our horizon lies the oldest light we can possibly see. The cosmic microwave background, or CMB. It's the afterglow of the Big Bang, a faint radiation field that fills all of space, emitted when the universe was just 380,000 years old. Before that moment, the cosmos was too hot and dense for light to travel freely. It was an opaque plasma, where photons scattered endlessly off electrons. But as the universe cooled, it became transparent, and light could finally move unimpeded. That ancient light still surrounds us, stretched by billions of years of expansion into microwaves, a ghostly whisper of the universe's first dawn. Everywhere we look, the CMB appears nearly identical. Its uniformity is astonishing. The temperature variations across the entire sky are only a few parts in 100,000. That near perfection tells us that the early universe was astonishingly smooth, and that the laws of physics were the same everywhere. The cosmos we see is just one small patch of an unthinkably vast, possibly infinite whole. What lies beyond our horizon likely looks much the same, though we can never confirm it. The smoothness of the microwave background becomes the last visible clue to the unseen. And yet, within that smoothness, there are patterns, tiny ripples, slight fluctuations in temperature. These were the seeds of everything. Quantum variations in the infant universe were magnified by cosmic inflation, creating regions of slightly higher density. Over billions of years, gravity amplified them, drawing matter together into stars, galaxies, and clusters. Every mountain, every atom, every thought that exists today began as one of those faint ripples. The CMB is not just a boundary of sight, it's the beginning of structure, the blueprint of everything that would one day exist inside our horizon. The third illusion is more subtle. We think of the observable universe as a fixed boundary, a permanent bubble of perception, but it isn't static. As time goes on, light from more distant regions continues to reach us, so the radius of our observable universe grows. Every second, another billion kilometers of unseen cosmos becomes visible. But there's a catch. The expansion of the universe is accelerating, driven by dark energy. Beyond a certain distance, around 16 billion light-years, galaxies are receding from us faster than light due to the expansion of space itself. Light emitted from those regions now will never reach us, no matter how long we wait. The horizon of what we can ever see is actually shrinking in a deeper sense, not by size, but by causality. The universe's future is one of increasing isolation. Over trillions of years, distant galaxies will fade beyond reach. The cosmic background will stretch into oblivion, its temperature approaching absolute zero. Eventually, all that will remain visible are the stars within our own gravitationally bound cluster. Everything else erased by the speed of expansion. Future observers, living in that far tomorrow, will see only a dark void and might conclude, wrongly, that their small island of stars is all that ever existed. In that sense, our time, this brief cosmic era when the universe is still visible, is uniquely privileged. We live in the moment of maximum knowledge, when light still bridges the vastness. And this brings us to the fourth illusion, the illusion of isolation. Because our horizon surrounds us perfectly, we feel like we stand at the center of everything. But that's just geometry. Every observer, anywhere in the cosmos, sees the same sphere centered on themselves. There is no preferred location, no cosmic axis. The center is simply the point from which you look. The edge of the universe is an illusion born of distance and time. If we could somehow switch places with an observer 10 billion light-years away, our horizons would overlap, each centered on its own point, each seeing a different patch of the same whole. In that grand overlap lies the secret. There is no true edge, only the limits of connection. The universe is seamless, infinite, continuous, stitched together by the light that has not yet arrived. Beyond our horizon, the unobservable universe stretches endlessly. Its contents may mirror ours. Galaxies, stars, planets, perhaps other intelligent beings asking the same question. Or it may differ completely, warped by inflation into regions with different laws of physics. Some cosmologists even suggest that inflation never ended, that our observable universe is just one bubble in an eternal froth of countless others, each with its own constants and conditions. The multiverse, if it exists, lies forever beyond the reach of light. We can never see it, only infer it from the shape of our own bubble, and yet, even here, wonder persists. The fact that our horizon exists at all is a kind of gift. It gives us a frame, a vantage point from which to understand the infinite. The universe hides its full face, not out of cruelty, but necessity. Without limits, there could be no meaning, no sense of scale, no story to unfold. The horizon defines the possible. It's the line where knowledge ends and imagination begins. Imagine, then, that the universe is like a vast ocean shrouded in fog. From your small ship, you can see only a circle of water around you. No land, no shore. The fog is not the end of the sea. It's the limit of your sight. Beyond it, the waves continue forever. But within that visible circle, every reflection, every ripple, every glimmer of starlight becomes precious. The unknown beyond gives weight to what you can see. Light, then, is not merely information. It is the thread that weaves space and time together. Every photon is a messenger from the past. Every particle of light a survivor of creation's first fire. The cosmic horizon is not a wall but a mirror, showing us the boundary of our own perception. What we call the edge of the universe is simply the edge of what can be known. And so, when we look up at the stars, we are peering into the ultimate paradox, a universe without edges, seen through the illusion of one. The light that defines our world also deceives us, wrapping infinity into a sphere we mistake for the whole. But if the universe teaches anything, it's that every horizon hides another beyond it, and every limit is only the beginning of something greater. In the end, perhaps the horizon is not out there at all, but within us. The real boundary is the one between what we can know and what we can only imagine. The edge we see isn't the edge that exists. It's the frontier of understanding, the point where our light ends and the dark begins, and somewhere beyond that darkness, the universe continues, indifferent and endless, waiting for minds like ours to wonder where the edge truly lies. There is no middle of the universe, and yet you are in the middle of your own. That is not poetry, it's physics. Every observer in the cosmos occupies the same paradoxical truth. To look out and see the universe expanding equally in all directions, to measure the same laws, the same background radiation, the same cosmic rhythm. From any vantage point, the cosmos appears perfectly centered on you. And so, in a strange and humbling way, it is. This is the great cosmic illusion, the one that fools every civilization into believing it stands at the heart of everything. Ancient astronomers saw the sun rise and fall, the stars whirl in perfect circles above, and declared, naturally, that they were at the center of creation. How could it be otherwise when everything moved around them? Then, when Copernicus dethroned Earth, humanity transferred its pride to the sun, then to the galaxy, then to the universe itself. Even as science shattered our illusions, it replaced them with subtler ones, each more abstract, each harder to see through. Now, after centuries of observation, we have reached the ultimate version of that illusion. The universe itself seems to revolve around every point. Every observer, no matter how distant, sees galaxies receding in every direction. Each sees themselves as the center of expansion. This isn't arrogance, it's geometry. The reason lies in two profound ideas that govern cosmology: isotropy and homogeneity. Isotropy means the universe looks the same in every direction. Homogeneity means it looks the same from every location. Together, they form the foundation of the cosmological principle, the assumption that, on large enough scales, the cosmos has no special places, no privileged perspectives. There is no cosmic north, no galactic up. Every point in space shares the same destiny, the same laws, the same expanding fabric. If you were to look out from a distant galaxy, you'd see the same redshift pattern we do. You'd see galaxies moving away, the same cosmic microwave background, the same smoothed-out structure of matter and voids. Nothing would betray your place in the grand design. The universe, in its vastness, hides its origins in perfect symmetry. The best way to imagine this is through the balloon analogy. Picture an enormous balloon with tiny dots scattered across its surface. As you inflate it, every dot moves away from every other. The farther apart two dots are, the faster they recede from each other. From the perspective of any one dot, it looks as though everything else is expanding away from it. But none of the dots are special. The expansion is uniform across the surface. There is no center on the balloon, only within it, in a dimension inaccessible to the dots themselves. We are those dots, and our universe is that balloon. The expansion is happening not into space, but of space. There is no center within it, because every point was once compressed together in that primordial state we call the Big Bang. The center of the universe is not somewhere out there. It's everywhere. Or perhaps more accurately, it's nowhere at all. And yet, our minds crave a center. Evolution built us to navigate finite worlds. We seek the middle of things, the hearth in a house, the capital in a country, the nucleus in an atom. To us, center means control, structure, meaning. A universe without one feels impossible, like a story without a protagonist. But nature does not write stories. We do. The cosmos merely is. It has no narrative, no moral axis, no throne from which creation radiates. Our need for a center is a reflection, not of physics, but of psychology. This is where science and philosophy begin to intertwine. When cosmologists speak of isotropy, they speak of equality. The universe grants every observer the same view, the same status. There is no preferred position, and thus, in a strange way, every position is privileged. If every point can claim the same truth, then center ceases to be a place. It becomes a perspective. Think of it like this. When you stand at the top of a mountain and look in all directions, you are at the center of your visible world. When you move, your horizon moves with you. The landscape changes, but the geometry of your perception remains constant. No matter where you go, you remain surrounded by an equal distance to the edge of sight. That's what the universe does, on a cosmic scale. So when we say there's no middle of the universe, we don't mean it's meaningless to talk about centers. We mean that every conscious being experiences the universe as centered on themselves because that's how space-time works. Every observer has their own observable universe, bounded by light and time, centered on their awareness. You are the center of the part you can see. And so is everyone else. The cosmos is a hall of infinite mirrors, each reflecting reality from its own point of view. This realization doesn't diminish us. It transforms us. To exist in such a universe is to occupy one of infinite perspectives, each equally real. The humility of physics becomes the poetry of consciousness. If every point is the center, then perhaps the act of perceiving is what defines centrality. Maybe the universe becomes centered wherever awareness arises, but the illusion of centrality runs deeper still. Consider this. If the universe has no edge, does it have an outside? The question itself contains the flaw. Outside implies a boundary, a surrounding void, something to step beyond. But the universe is not expanding into anything. It expands within itself. Like a mirage of endless reflections, every attempt to find an edge simply loops back into more space, more time, more expansion. In Einstein's view, space is not a container. It's a property of reality. It bends, stretches, and curves under the weight of energy and mass. Asking what lies outside the universe is like asking what's north of the North Pole. It's a direction that doesn't exist. There is no cosmic shell beyond which there is nothing. The universe doesn't need an outside because it is everything. Its boundary is not a line. It's the horizon of our comprehension. And so, the illusion continues. We imagine edges because we live inside limitations. Our senses evolved for survival, not infinity. Our eyes see only a narrow band of light. Our minds only a fraction of reality. Beyond those limits, we invent metaphors. We imagine mirrors, bubbles, and domes to help us picture what cannot be pictured. We draw a balloon, or a grid, or a map. But all these are shadows cast by higher truths, projections of something that exists beyond the frame of our intuition. Still, illusions are not lies. They are the language of understanding. The balloon analogy may not be literal, but it carries truth. That expansion is not motion through space, but the creation of more space itself. That every observer is equally valid. That there is no center to chase, no ultimate origin to locate. The cosmos, like a perfect sphere, hides its secrets in symmetry. This symmetry is not just physical, it's existential. For if every observer is central, then perhaps meaning too is decentralized. There is no single truth imposed from above. Instead, there are countless truths, each glimpsed from a different vantage. The universe may have no middle, but it allows infinite centers of understanding. Each consciousness, like a star, illuminates its own portion of the dark. And yet, this revelation can feel both liberating and terrifying. To accept that we occupy no special place is to feel small, but to realize that every place is special is to feel vast. The cosmos does not revolve around us, but it radiates through us. We are not its center, but its reflection. The atoms in our bodies were forged in stars, which were themselves shaped by the expansion of space. The very fabric that drives galaxies apart also flows through us. In that sense, the universe is centered in every being that contemplates it. Consider the soap bubbles that merge in a child's hand. Each glistens with its own reflection of the world. Yet when they touch, their surfaces fuse, creating something new, larger, yet continuous. Our cosmic horizon is like that bubble, one among countless others in the froth of space-time. Every observer's universe overlaps with another's, sharing light, gravity, and history. In this grand cosmic foam, there is no edge, only contact. No middle, only connection. Perhaps this is what the universe has been trying to teach us all along. That center is not about position, it's about relation. To be at the center is not to stand above, but to be part of the whole. Every galaxy, every atom, every thought participates in the expansion. Every moment of awareness adds another mirror to the infinite hall. The great cosmic illusion, then, is not that we are at the center, but that we ever thought we weren't. The universe places us precisely where we must be, in the middle of our own experience, surrounded by mystery. Beyond every horizon lies another, and beyond every illusion lies understanding. In the end, perhaps the question of where the universe's center lies is less about coordinates and more about consciousness. The cosmos may have no middle, no edges, and no outside, but within the human mind it finds all three. When we look into the vastness, we give it structure. When we ask where we are, we give it meaning. And when we understand that the center is everywhere, we finally realize that the universe has been looking back all along. If there are infinite universes, then you are at the center of all of them. That sentence bends both reason and imagination, but it may also be the closest thing we have to truth. For if the cosmos truly extends beyond our horizon, beyond even our own universe, then the idea of a single center dissolves entirely. Infinity has no middle, no edge, no boundary. Yet within that boundlessness, consciousness insists on finding a place to stand. We are the minds that draw circles on the infinite, searching for meaning in the mirage of center. The journey begins with inflation, the most powerful and perplexing idea in modern cosmology. In the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, the universe didn't merely expand, it inflated, growing faster than the speed of light, 1 billion times in the blink of an eye. This inflationary burst stretched tiny quantum fluctuations into vast cosmic structures, smoothing space into near perfection. It's why the universe appears flat and uniform in every direction. But inflation carries a deeper implication, one that shatters any remaining sense of cosmic centrality. For according to the mathematics, inflation doesn't simply end everywhere at once. It ends locally. In some regions, it slows and stops, allowing matter and radiation to form galaxies and stars. In others, it continues indefinitely. These still inflating regions spawn new universes, each disconnected from the rest, each with its own laws of physics, constants, and histories. This is the multiverse, a vast, eternal froth of universes budding like bubbles in an endless cosmic foam. Picture that, an infinite expanse of inflation, within which universes form like raindrops on a windowpane, each sealed off from the others by regions of expanding space. Each universe has its own Big Bang, its own timeline, its own light horizon. To the inhabitants of one bubble, their universe feels singular and complete. Yet from the higher vantage of the multiverse, there are countless others, forever forming and forever beyond reach. In such a reality, center becomes meaningless. There is no privileged bubble, no origin point where it all began. The multiverse is not a sphere expanding into something larger. It's a fractal storm of creation with no edge, no symmetry, no final frame. Every universe is a local fluctuation in an infinite sea of inflation, and every point within each universe is as valid a center as any other. Infinity, by definition, denies hierarchy, and yet our human minds resist that truth. We crave anchors, absolutes, beginnings and middles and ends. Even as physics erases the notion of a center, psychology rebuilds it in miniature. We imagine the multiverse as a branching tree of worlds, each sprouting from some primordial trunk. We picture higher dimensions, godlike observers, or hidden coordinates that give structure to the chaos. But these are reflections of our own need to find meaning in pattern. The universe or the multiverse may have no preference, but the human heart always does. Still, the science itself invites awe. The theory of eternal inflation suggests that new universes are constantly being born, driven by the same vacuum energy that birthed ours. In this model, inflation never truly stops. It just transitions like boiling water that keeps bubbling in some places even as others cool. Each bubble universe is separated by regions where space expands faster than light, ensuring no signal can pass between them. The result is an ever-growing mosaic of realities, each unique, each unreachable. Some may have more dimensions than ours, some fewer. Some may have different values for the speed of light, gravity, or quantum charge. In some, matter might never form at all. In others, stars may ignite in exotic ways, or consciousness may arise under laws we can't imagine. We, in our fragile corner, inhabit just one configuration, a universe whose constants happen to permit complexity, chemistry, and life. And we call that coincidence fine-tuning. The irony is that in an infinite multiverse, fine-tuning becomes inevitable. If there are infinite universes, then every possible configuration of physics exists somewhere. Somewhere, there are worlds with different laws, different histories, perhaps even different versions of you reading these same words. Infinity demands repetition. It demands that every pattern occur, not once, but endlessly. In such a reality, the extraordinary becomes ordinary, the improbable becomes certain, and so another paradox emerges. In infinity, everything is both central and irrelevant. If every point exists infinitely many times, then no point can claim importance. Every star, every world, every life is a reflection repeated without end. We become both unique and trivial, irreplaceable and indistinguishable. The multiverse annihilates hierarchy, but it also fulfills it, making everything equally necessary to the whole. This realization is both beautiful and terrifying. It suggests that the very laws of physics we hold sacred are just local customs in an infinite landscape. Our universe is a region of stability within an endless storm, a quiet patch where existence learned to sustain itself. Beyond it, other regions flare into being and collapse, universes that might last seconds or trillions of years. The grand structure is not a single universe expanding from a center, but an infinite self-replicating process, creation as a fractal. Imagine a crystal growing in all directions, each facet reflecting the others in endless recursion, or a hall of mirrors where every reflection spawns new reflections, repeating into eternity. The multiverse may be just that, a boundless feedback of being, each universe a mirror reflecting its own laws back into the infinite. There is no ultimate scale, no top or bottom, no beginning to trace. Every attempt to find a first cause only opens another layer, another mirror. The deeper we look, the more we find that there is no end to looking. This is the great humbling of cosmology. The Copernican revolutions of old, Earth dethroned, Sun dethroned, galaxy dethroned, culminate here. Even our universe itself is dethroned, reduced to one among countless others. Yet there is a strange comfort in that. If everything is infinite, then meaning doesn't vanish. It multiplies. Every possibility that could exist does exist, somewhere, sometime. Every act of creation echoes endlessly. Every consciousness arises again and again in different forms. Infinity turns insignificance into abundance. And yet, we can't escape our instinct to locate ourselves. We stand in the middle of the multiverse and still whisper, "Where am I?" But in infinity, that question loses all meaning. The only true center is the one drawn by perception, the point of awareness that says, "I am here." That here may be fleeting, relative, and subjective, but it's also real. It's the only center that exists anywhere, the center of experience. The multiverse reframes this idea beautifully. If infinite universes exist, then consciousness may not be confined to just one. Somewhere, perhaps, in another cosmic bubble, another version of you is asking the same question. Not identical in body or memory, but identical in wonder, in the urge to find meaning in the endless. Across the infinite foam of creation, every observer becomes the center of their own mirror. The cosmos, in all its infinity, becomes a web of perspectives reflecting itself forever. But what if the multiverse is not infinite after all? What if it's merely vast, yet finite, so large that its boundaries lie beyond comprehension? Would that change anything? Not really. Infinity and near infinity are indistinguishable from within. For the purposes of meaning, both erase the concept of center. The difference is only one of scale, not of essence. In both cases, we are left with the same truth, that the universe, or the multiverse, has no privileged place. Still, we continue to search. Science builds equations. Philosophy builds metaphors. One speaks of vacuum energy and quantum tunneling, the other of mirrors and reflections. But both are driven by the same question: what lies beyond? It's the same question the child asks when staring at the night sky, the same that drove Galileo to raise his telescope, the same that drives physicists to build particle colliders today. In every age, the question of the center has been a question of belonging. Perhaps, then, the multiverse is not an answer, but a mirror. It shows us that our longing for place is both universal and futile. The cosmos doesn't revolve around us, but it unfolds through us. We are not the center of everything, but we are the eyes through which everything becomes known. The universe, in all its indifference, becomes intimate the moment we look at it. The act of awareness gives structure to infinity. So maybe the center is not out there, but here, where perception touches reality, the point where the infinite becomes visible. In that sense, every consciousness in the multiverse, from the smallest spark of awareness to the grandest civilization, is equally central. Not because the universe cares, but because awareness defines its own origin. The multiverse may not need observers, but perhaps, without them, it could never be known at all. And if that's true, then the greatest cosmic illusion is not that we are the center of the universe, but that there's any difference between the universe and the one observing it. In infinity, the observer and the observed blur together. Each defines the other, like reflections in crystal spheres. You are not at the center of the cosmos. The cosmos is centered in you. If there is no center of the universe, maybe you are the center of its awareness. That idea sounds mystical, almost sacrilegious to science. But it is not fantasy. It is relativity applied to consciousness. In a universe without a privileged point in space, awareness itself becomes the only true anchor. Wherever there is perception, there is a frame of reference. Wherever there is experience, there is a center. You are not at the center of the cosmos, but the cosmos, for one fleeting moment, is centered in you. Physics tells us that everything depends on perspective. In Einstein's universe, motion, time, and even distance are relative. There is no universal clock ticking for everyone, no single grid upon which reality unfolds. Instead, each observer carries their own space-time, an invisible bubble of perception. For you, the stars move. For another observer, you move instead. Neither is wrong. Both are true within their own frame. The universe does not favor one story over another. It holds them all. That principle, subtle in mathematics, explodes into poetry when applied to existence itself. If every observer defines their own frame, then every consciousness defines its own center of reality. Not metaphorically, but physically. The act of observing draws coordinates around awareness. You are the still point in a turning cosmos, not because the cosmos revolves around you, but because your perception creates the reference by which everything else moves. Every experience is a small Big Bang, a moment when awareness expands outward, organizing chaos into order. You open your eyes, and the universe unfolds. Light takes form, time flows, motion becomes meaning. The stars, distant and ancient, align themselves in patterns you can comprehend. The universe doesn't change, but your observation creates structure within it. That's the secret symmetry of consciousness. It does not add new physics, but it adds perspective. And perspective is what turns chaos into cosmos. Consider this. In quantum mechanics, observation changes the outcome. A particle exists in many states at once until measured. Then, its probability collapses into one reality. Physicists call this the observer effect, not because human consciousness creates reality, but because interaction defines it. Yet, the parallel with awareness is irresistible. Just as a quantum measurement selects one version of possibility, consciousness selects one version of meaning. We are not passive spectators of the universe. We are participants in its unfolding. Your senses carve the infinite into something knowable. Your mind creates patterns from the random. Your thoughts, emotions, and memories form a gravitational field of attention, pulling scattered experiences into orbits of meaning. The universe, you see, is not the raw cosmos. It's the projection of infinite data filtered through the lens of awareness. In that way, the center of the universe is wherever you happen to be looking from. Every thought reshapes your cosmic coordinates. Relativity shows us that there is no absolute frame, no cosmic grid. Every observer carries their own time and space, their own geometry of experience. Two observers moving at different speeds experience different slices of reality, different presents. Each has their own now, their own sphere of simultaneity. And yet, within each frame, the laws of physics remain identical. Every local perspective is valid. Every subjective center is true. So what happens when consciousness realizes this? When we understand that our sense of centrality is not arrogance, but necessity. Suddenly, the cosmic and the personal merge. The universe does not need to revolve around you for you to matter. You are the point from which meaning radiates, the origin of your own light cone. Every thought, every observation, every heartbeat creates a small region of space-time uniquely yours, intersecting with countless others, forming the fabric of shared reality. In this sense, consciousness is the universe becoming self-aware, not in a mystical sense, but in a literal one. The laws of physics eventually gave rise to systems complex enough to reflect on those laws. The atoms that once floated aimlessly in stars now look back at the stars, asking where they came from. The observer and the observed have become the same thing. The center of the universe is not a place. It's the point where awareness meets existence. Close your eyes. The galaxies vanish, the stars fade, and yet the universe remains. Inside you, as memory, as possibility. You carry the cosmos as an internal model, a miniature reflection of infinity, sculpted from neurons and light. Within your mind, distances collapse. Time folds. You can hold 1 billion years in a thought, traverse the observable universe in an instant of imagination. You are small in scale, but infinite in scope. The physical center may not exist, but the perceptual one does, recreated every moment you think, see, or wonder. Neuroscience describes consciousness as an emergent process, a pattern of information that arises when matter organizes itself in the right way. But physics suggests that this emergence is not separate from the universe. It is the universe continuing its pattern of complexity. From hydrogen to humanity, the cosmos evolves toward awareness. Every layer of reality, from particle to planet to person, becomes a mirror of something larger. When awareness blooms, the universe no longer just exists. It experiences itself. Imagine the chain. Quantum fields form atoms. Atoms form stars. Stars forge elements. Elements form minds. And minds form meaning. The journey from nothingness to consciousness is not an accident. It's the cosmos finding a way to see. In that sense, awareness is not outside the physical universe, it's its most intricate expression. Each observer, each moment of perception, becomes a small return of the universe to its own center. And here lies the most profound paradox of all. The universe has no center, yet every conscious being becomes one. Each awareness forms a local node of experience, a subjective cosmos bounded by its own horizon of understanding. Just as every galaxy occupies its own expanding bubble of space, every mind occupies its own expanding bubble of perception. These bubbles overlap, interact, and share light. The network of consciousness across the cosmos becomes a new kind of cosmic web, a lattice of awareness glowing within the dark. The human eye, then, is not merely a receiver of light. It's a creator of structure. Each photon that enters it is ancient, having traveled billions of years through expanding space, only to find meaning when it meets your gaze. When you look at a star, you complete a circuit billions of years in the making. That act of looking, of being aware, is the universe closing its own loop. If relativity taught us that space and time depend on the observer, perhaps consciousness teaches us that meaning depends on the observer too. The universe without awareness is pure potential. Laws without witness, patterns without poetry. But with awareness, even the void becomes intimate. The darkness between galaxies becomes not emptiness, but depth. Every flicker of curiosity becomes a spark of creation. What does it mean, then, to live in such a cosmos? It means that existence is participatory, that the act of observing, of wondering, is itself a form of creation. The stars do not revolve around us, yet they align in our perception. The galaxies do not sing, yet we hear harmony in their orbits. The universe does not think, yet through us it dreams. When you ponder your place in the cosmos, you are not small. You are the interface through which the cosmos contemplates itself. You are the stillness in which expansion finds reflection. You are the eye of infinity looking inward. Without observers, there would still be stars and atoms, but there would be no story. The universe without awareness would be like a book unread, full of meaning yet never realized. Maybe that's what consciousness is. The universe reading itself aloud. Every life, every mind, every act of wonder becomes a verse in that endless narration. We are not separate from the cosmos. We are the voice that gives it coherence. The center is not fixed in space. It migrates, flickering between every pair of eyes that dare to look up. And so, when you look at the night sky, remember that you are not gazing outward, but inward. The starlight that enters your eyes is ancient, but the awareness that receives it is now. You are both observer and participant, dreamer and dream. You are not at the center of the universe, but you are at the center of its awareness. The galaxies expand endlessly, but so does perception. The farther the universe stretches, the deeper your mind reaches. Perhaps that is the final symmetry. As the cosmos expands outward, consciousness expands inward, balancing creation with comprehension. The universe grows in size, and awareness grows in depth. Each gives meaning to the other. The Big Bang created the world, but consciousness creates its center. Every heartbeat, every thought, every glance at the stars is another small act of cosmic centering, a reminder that the greatest illusion is not that we are insignificant, but that we ever thought we were separate. Everywhere might be the center. You might be the universe seeing itself. The farther we've searched, the more that idea begins to look less like poetry and more like physics. The universe, it turns out, does not simply contain connections. It is connection across every scale, from the dance of galaxies to the tremble of subatomic fields. The same strange truth repeats. Nothing is truly separate. We are not fragments scattered through space. We are threads of a single tapestry that only appears divided. What if the reason the universe has no center is because it is the center? A boundless whole, looking inward through infinite eyes. Quantum physics offers the first glimpse of this impossible unity. In the quantum realm, particles defy classical logic. They don't exist in fixed places or states until observed. They spread out as waves of probability, occupying many possibilities at once. And when two particles interact, something miraculous happens. They become entangled. From that moment on, their states are linked. No matter how far apart they drift. Change one, and the other responds instantly, even if separated by billions of light years. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, a phrase tinged with disbelief. But experiment after experiment confirms it. The universe is woven with invisible threads that defy space itself. Entanglement means that space, as we experience it, is not fundamental. It is not the ultimate stage on which events unfold, but a derived illusion, a way for a deeply connected reality to appear divided. The more physicists study the quantum world, the clearer it becomes. What we call distance may just be the measure of how entangled two regions are. Space is not the container of reality. It is the relationship between things. When relationships change, space stretches or shrinks. In the most radical view, space-time itself emerges from entanglement like a hologram projected from quantum connections. If that's true, then there can be no true separation, and therefore no true center. Everything is part of one inseparable field of existence. The universe isn't a collection of things floating in emptiness. It's a single self-interacting whole. Every particle, every star, every mind participates in this unity. The illusion of individuality is born from perspective, from where the web folds and looks at itself. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, experiencing a local version of its own totality. When we think of center, we imagine a point, a place from which everything extends. But in an entangled cosmos, the idea of a single point loses meaning. Every region is connected to every other. Every atom in your body shares quantum roots with stars billions of light years away. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon that shapes your breath, all forged in ancient stars, all scattered across time, only to reunite here, in you. Separation is an illusion sustained by scale. Beneath it, the cosmos hums in perfect continuity. Modern physics whispers this truth in many dialects. In quantum field theory, particles are not individual dots, but ripples in continuous fields that permeate all space. Each particle is a vibration of the same universal medium, like waves on an endless ocean. What we call matter is simply the local disturbance of that field. The same ocean that vibrates within your atoms also ripples through galaxies. There is no boundary between them, only patterns, waves, and relationships. When one wave moves, the entire ocean subtly responds. Even gravity, that most classical of forces, seems to obey this hidden unity. The curvature of space-time in Einstein's theory is not an external shape imposed on matter, but the way matter and energy talk to the universe itself. Everything influences everything else, however faintly. A single movement here, a flicker of light, a thought, they ripple outward forever. The web of causality is infinite, looping through both physics and awareness. We cannot move without stirring the whole. It's in this light that consciousness, too, takes on cosmic dimension. The observer is not outside the system looking in. The observer is the system, looking at itself. Each mind becomes a node through which the universe experiences its own unfolding. Every act of awareness is an intersection of the infinite. The cosmos perceiving a piece of itself, and calling that piece I. The boundaries between self and universe, between subject and object, dissolve under the weight of connection. Neuroscience hints at the same pattern, mirrored on a smaller scale. The human brain is a network of 100 billion neurons, each connected through trillions of synapses. No single neuron knows the thought, yet together they generate consciousness. A unified field of experience emerging from endless interconnection. The universe works the same way. Each particle, each galaxy, each life form contributes to the larger pattern of awareness. The cosmos may not think in the way we do, but it organizes itself into complexity, reflection, and ultimately, self-recognition. Look closely, and the boundary between the microcosm and the macrocosm blurs. The large-scale structure of the universe, filaments of galaxies, clusters, and voids, looks eerily like a neural network. The same patterns that connect neurons in the brain also map the cosmic web. Both distribute information through interlinked nodes, both optimize energy, both evolve toward complexity. It's as if the universe and the mind are reflections of the same underlying geometry, scaled to different magnitudes. Galaxies are neurons in a cosmic brain, and we are the sparks of thought within it. But if everything is connected, what becomes of individuality? What becomes of here and there? You and me, inside and outside. The answer is paradoxical. Individuality remains, but only as a wave in the ocean of totality. A ripple has identity only as long as it moves differently from the waves around it, yet it never ceases to be the ocean. So too with consciousness. Each person, each being, is a ripple in the field of awareness, distinct in motion, but one in essence. When the ripple fades, the ocean remains unbroken. This is not mysticism disguised as science. It is the convergence of both. Quantum entanglement, relativity, and consciousness all point toward a single truth. Reality is relational. The universe does not exist as isolated parts, but as an ever-evolving whole. The center is not a point in space, but the entire network of relationships itself, an infinite center, everywhere and nowhere. In this view, the Big Bang is not an explosion that happened long ago in a distant corner of space. It is the continual unfolding of being that happens everywhere, all the time. Creation is not a past event, but an ongoing process. Every moment, the universe is being born again, through the renewal of connection, particles interacting, consciousness awakening, awareness recognizing itself. The cosmos expands not just in space, but in understanding. Imagine the entire universe collapsing into a single point of light, not as destruction, but revelation. Every star, every particle, every thought converges into one luminous whole. Now imagine that light unfolding again into infinite diversity. Galaxies, atoms, beings, awareness. That is the eternal rhythm. The one becoming the many, and the many remembering they are one. When everything is everywhere, the distinction between center and circumference vanishes. The universe becomes both observer and observed, self and reflection. And maybe that is the final purpose of consciousness: to complete the circle, to take the scattered fragments of perception and recognize them as one continuum. When you look at the stars and feel awe, it's not because you're small. It's because something vast within you recognizes itself. The light you see from those galaxies is the same light that lives in you. The atoms that form your eyes were born in their furnaces. When you gaze upward, you are literally seeing yourself from another angle of time. The universe contemplates itself through you, and through that act, becomes whole again. Perhaps this is what physicist John Wheeler meant when he said, "We are participants in a universe that is self-observing." Reality is not a static thing, but a process of interaction, of feedback, of awareness folding upon itself. Every observer completes the loop, turning the impersonal into the personal, the infinite into the immediate. The cosmos becomes conscious, one mind at a time. So when you ask, where is the center of the universe? The answer is simple and infinite. Everywhere. Every point in space, every quantum field, every conscious moment is the universe reflecting itself endlessly, without origin or edge. The cosmos doesn't revolve around us. It resonates through us. Space itself may be an illusion, but connection is not. We are already entangled with everything, from the smallest particle to the largest cluster of galaxies. The distance between you and the edge of the universe is only a question of perspective. We began by believing that we were at the center of everything. Then science taught us we were nowhere special. But now, perhaps, the truth circles back. In a universe where everything is connected, everywhere becomes the center. The circle closes, and in that closure, the illusion of separation fades. Everywhere might be the center. Every you might be the universe seeing itself. And if so, then the question was never, where are we in the universe? But where is the universe in us? The center of everything was never a place. It was the act of looking. For centuries, we searched the heavens for a middle, for an anchor, for some divine coordinate that would tell us where we stand. We imagined thrones of gods, spheres of stars, and edges to infinity. But the deeper we looked, the more the cosmos revealed its secret. There is no single heart to the universe, and yet, everywhere we stand, it beats. The truth is not that we are lost in an indifferent void, but that we belong to a pattern too vast to have a center. The universe has no middle, because it is the middle. A seamless whole that contains all places, all moments, all observers at once. Each galaxy, each atom, each thought participates equally in the quiet miracle of existence. There is no privileged point from which creation unfolds. Instead, every point carries the memory of the whole. Like a hologram, every fragment of the cosmos encodes the image of everything else. Within a single particle, the whispers of the early universe still tremble. Within your body, the atoms forged in ancient stars still shine. Within your mind, the cosmos has folded itself into reflection. You are not at the center of the universe. You are the place where the universe becomes aware that it has no center. All the distances we measure, all the galaxies we map, all the theories we build, they converge toward one quiet realization. What we call space is only the scaffolding of connection, and what we call time is the rhythm of its unfolding. The edges we fear are illusions drawn by light's slow journey. The center we crave is the awareness that sees through them. Perhaps this is why the universe feels both infinite and intimate. It is vast beyond comprehension, yet it fits entirely inside a single moment of perception. When you stand beneath the stars, you are not looking outward, but inward. Through billions of years of memory, through light that left before life began, through the eyes of creation itself. The night sky is the universe remembering. There is a still point in this endless motion, a silence that holds all expansion, all collapse, all wondering. It is not found among the galaxies, nor buried in equations. It lives in the instant before thought, in the space between breaths, in the awareness that asks the question. That stillness is the true center, the meeting place of matter and meaning, of physics and wonder. The universe expands forever, yet within you there is a pause, the observer's calm, where all that motion comes to rest. Every galaxy spins, every particle dances, but in the act of noticing, you create equilibrium. Awareness becomes gravity, holding reality together. You do not need to move through the cosmos to find the center. You only need to be still enough to realize that it has always been here. So, after all the equations and metaphors, after all the light years of thought, the conclusion is simple. We live not at the edge, nor in the middle, but within the universe's own reflection. The cosmos is not something we stand inside. It is something that unfolds through us. We are both observer and observation, question and answer, motion and pause. And in that recognition lies the final paradox. Though the universe has no center, it can only be experienced from one, your own. Every act of awareness creates a point around which meaning orbits. Every life is a lens through which infinity becomes finite. through which silence learns to speak. Maybe this was the universe's intention all along, to scatter itself into countless eyes, countless minds, countless centers of understanding, so that everywhere it could know itself again. The galaxies breathe, the stars fade, and still, awareness continues, not as something separate, but as the soft pulse of being itself. At the end of all exploration, there is no edge to reach, no center to discover, only the still point of realization that you are not apart from the universe. You are its moment of clarity, and as the last light of the galaxies dissolves into the endless dark, perhaps one truth remains, gentle and eternal. The center of everything was never out there. It was the quiet act of looking all along,